Thank you everybody for joining us. I'm Christina from Black Ankle. I am the marketing director, and this is Christine, marketing assistant and tasting room associate. We are on the Boots team, and we are here with Sarita Cheeves. She is a podcaster, blogger. Like, I want to call you a chef. So many things.
Gosh, so far
she's a former Black Ankle employee. We carry her book in our store, and we are featuring her in this Boots box activity.
For having me, ladies. I'm happy to be here. Yes, my wine career kind of started at Black Ankle, so it's a big circle back moment, So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So we want to kind of dive into some questions, but the first thing we want to ask you about is your time at Black Ankle and how you found wine and moved into the wine industry.
Yeah, sure. So my love for wine started a long time ago, right out of college. But something fun that me and girlfriends used to do, we used to gather on Wednesdays. This was back when America's Next Top Model came on Wednesdays. And we used to rotate houses and just have sort of like pasta and wine. Well, those Wednesday nights turned into wine bars and wineries and wine fests and that sort of thing. And one of my college friends was getting married, and she's from Sacramento. So it was my first time in California. It's probably about 10 or 11 years ago. And I stayed an extra day so I could tour around Napa. And that was the bug that bit. I couldn't really shake wine after that. I just wanted to learn more and just discover everything about wine. So I flew back home and read all of these like Wine 101 books. Like, books about wine were not that interesting back then. So it was just pretty much French wine 101, Italian wine for dummies, that kind of thing. But I read them all. But the thing is, I found out later that they were dated. So they had old information.
Oh, no.
So that's when I started to, take a wine class here and there. And one day I just emailed all of the wineries in Maryland. I had never been to a Maryland winery, didn't know anything about them, but 3 replied and 1 was serious, and that happened to be Sarah. And yeah, Black Ankle had just opened, not even a year when I emailed her. And she was like, yeah, we could use the help. So come in. If you like it, it sticks. Hey, then we'll jump on the schedule. If not, it's all good. And I actually started on Valentine's Day. And it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I don't know if Tracy still works there, but yeah. She's the one who like showed me where everything is and said, hey, jump in. And at the end of my shift, she was like, girl, you belong here. So, it was history ever since. Not long after that, Mel had started. We started within the same year.
Wow.
And we worked a lot together. We even like spent the night in the barn some nights because we were working back-to-back days and weddings, and it would be 2 of us. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. But Black Ankle taught me everything I knew about wine. So that's really how it began.
Oh, wow. What a cool story.
I know.
I love the little barn anecdote. That's really fun.
I got my WSET. So I got a certification in wine, and I started a blog. And I started a blog because I was working in Bethesda and I was living in DC, and I would catch the Metro every day. But sometimes the Metro would get backed up and I would just hop off the train. And then I realized that that's when all the tastings were happening on Friday nights. So distributors would come and showcase like new wines and stuff. And I built a list. I was like, well, let's see how many I can get to in a Friday evening. And I would Instagram everything. And people were like, this is crazy. Like, you should write a blog. So that's how that started. And then I started cooking and pairing wines and stuff on the blog. And one of my most popular blog posts, I have to put it back up. It's a vintage post, but it was, I went to a corner store in DC and I bought all of this old vintage junk food that I used to eat. Chico sticks and Snickers bars and M&Ms and all of this stuff. And I bought probably like maybe 8 wines, and I invited friends over and I was like, let's see what goes well. And I wrote about it. So that was a really popular blog post. The more seasoned I got into the wine industry, the more people I started to get to know, and the more invitations I got. So here in DC, wine dinners at restaurants and embassy events, that kind of thing. And I just noticed that there weren't many people of color in the room. But when we did see each other, we kind of stuck out. So even while I was at Black Ankle, Leslie Freelow of Vino 301, she was doing research for her business. And I did her tasting and she was just like, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to give you my card because we need to. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, yeah. And we've been buddies ever since. And when I met her, then I met Girl Meets Glass, who lives in Paris right now, and she does wine tourism there. And then I met Vino Noir, who she's like a science geek, so she also has a blog. So the four of us would bump into each other, and I was thinking like this would be really awesome if this was a show, because I don't know if people know that this type of stuff happens, that we are in the industry like we are. And it started as like just a random YouTube show. We would get on YouTube and just talk wine. The episodes are terrible. Do not go that far back.
I thought there's like 200 episodes.
But the more that we recorded, the better I got at editing, and podcasting became a thing. So I turned those audio into a podcast, and that's when the Swirl Suite was born. So that's how that all began.
Wow. So that's so organic. Like it was just you meeting people and all having this love of wine in common, and also looking for visibility and making what's the word I'm looking for?
Connections.
Making connections, making Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit maybe about the Vine Me Up book, and how your love for these activities, wine-centered activities, came. Because I was reading about it on your website, but maybe you're better at talking about it than I am.
Yeah, the idea started like a year and a half ago. We were all quarantined, and I'm a puzzles girl, like word finds and even like some adult coloring books and connect the dots or whatever. I like to like do things with my hands. So I ran out of books. I was in the house all the time, and I went to Amazon. I was like, it would be really cute if there was a wine like puzzle book. But anyway, I was like, oh, somebody needs to really create that. That'll be fun. So, and I just went on about my day, ordered new puzzles. And maybe a few days later, I had a dream that I released a book, and it just seemed so real. I was like, that's so odd. I never thought about releasing a book. Even like that was a question I asked on the podcast. Would you ever write a movie, release a book, or something else? And I didn't vote for release a book. It was just never in the forefront. So anyway, I get up from this dream and I was like, release a book? That's wild. But I looked to my right, and on my nightstand was one of my word finds with a wine glass on top of it. And I was like, there it is. There's an idea. There it is. So I just did a little research to see what programs I could use to start creating these puzzles or whatever. And maybe like 6 months later, it was done.
Yeah. 6 months.
So that's where the idea came from. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. It was literally a dream and you manifested the dream and made it real.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of questions at first, like how hard can this be? Like, is this something I can do? And I maybe sent one person who had released the book an email, and she was just like, oh yeah, just do it. So yeah.
Once you start.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't know it was going to happen so fast, but yeah, once I decided to self-publish, it happened really fast. Yeah.
So where all can people find you? We have you in the tasting room.
Yes.
Your website, vinemeup.com. Are you located anywhere else?
Well, it's on Amazon.com, Barnes and Nobles, but you can buy it directly from my website, vinemeupdc.com. Yeah.
Yep. And we will include that. It's going to be in the Boots box as well on one of the cards. And at the end of this video too, we can put up little QR codes.
Awesome.
Scan it right there on their phone.
Yeah.
Could you actually hold your book up?
Sure.
There we go. Vine Me Up.
Vine Me Up.
Awesome.
I love when I see someone walking around the tasting room and they like pick it up and then they're like walking around with their little activity book. I've seen some sit down with it and then start getting into it. It's so great.
I love it. That's so cute.
It is cute. And then we should get into maybe the wines that you have been tasting for and chat about those.
And thank you for the wines, because Black Ankle does not last in this house at all. So, so Rolling Hills is gone. We drank that yesterday.
Okay.
I thought it was really good. I ended up making like lamb shanks for the first time. So they were like slow cooked in the chipotle sauce and mashed potatoes and vegetables. Anyway, but I thought the wine was phenomenal. It was so different from the first time that I tasted Rolling Hills. With this one, and this is the 2018, it was almost, if I was tasting it blind, I would have said it was an Italian wine.
Wow.
I thought it was really interesting. It had like these cherry notes, and it was earthy at the same time. I wrote down that like it on the nose, it gave me like a suede, like a leather jacket, but it's suede inside. My grandmother, she has this old like jacket I used to put on as a kid, and when I smelt it, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't you do that? Just bring back memories.
Yeah. And also, but I also got like a little like pencil shavings, maybe some cedar, but I thought it was awesome. It had a really good body, and it was like a medium body, so it would be like strong enough to go with something like a lamb, but you could have that for Thanksgiving, and it would be awesome. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, it's such an in-between. Hills.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's actually from our 2018 harvest, which was a very, very rainy season. So we only came out with the 2018 Rolling Hills, a Passeggiata, and a Syrah. We did not make any premium wines that year.
Interesting.
So it's that time.
Okay. And now I'm drinking the Albarino. This is my second time having this. When I dropped my books off at Black Ankle, I had this one. It's so refreshing.
It's such a good wine for summer, spring, and fall. That like all around.
Absolutely. This makes me, I mean, I could definitely drink this by itself, but it makes me want like crab cakes.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Seafood or crab cakes, but this is absolutely stunning. Yeah, I love it.
And it's actually made from our older vines. So this
really,
in 2020 we created the Albarino Norte, the Albarino Sur, and the Albarino Viejo. And the Viejo is a plot of the oldest Albarino vines planted on the property. So it's going to be a little creamier, a little more heavy than the other Albarinos, because it's just had more time to produce.
Gotcha. Did I hear? I think Dennis told me that you guys were planting more vines on another property.
We have 2 other new properties. We have Live Veg Vineyards, which we will have a tasting room built in the next 5-ish years. We have planted vines there. And we have, that's out near Clarksburg. So out closer to DC. We it's going to be one of the closest wineries to DC, right off 270.
Oh, wow.
And then we have out in Westminster, another property out there that is going to be just vines. It's a little too out in the middle of nowhere to have a tasting room. More out in the nowhere than Black Ankle. So picture that. But it may end up being just red vines there. We're not sure yet. But both have been planted on, and we actually planted Sauvignon Blanc on at Black Ankle and harvested it this year for the first time.
So, wow. That's exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, ladies. This was so fun.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Yeah. All right. Absolutely.
Enjoy your day.